And all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the building. We're back in the building. Atlanticast Network presents Ask John Doe. No question is a stupid question. And without further ado, I present to you your host, Mr. John Doe.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Yeah. I've been warming up for this one since I introduced the topic on the last show. Hey, I'm gonna dive right in, jump in for the win. Of course, tonight's subject is about something that's really popular, often sought as controversial, and depending on who you're talking to, it's a good thing or a bad thing, and everything in between. Everybody, we're talking about drugs. Oh man, and who knows what that means to you or whatever else comes to mind when you hear the word drugs. Give yourself a moment to be honest with yourself and look at the first thing that resonates with you when you hear drugs. You know, we hear people mention drugs in a lot of different ways, but I'm here to talk about the beyond the surface versions of drugs and why they exist and whatever that looks like. Of course, the name of the show is as John Doe. If you got something to ask me, do not hesitate to let me know. Use that number on the screen so we can do our thing. Leave a message in the chat box and whatnot. We can take care of it from there. Oh man, I love this part, man. I mean, drugs is such a big subject. I mean, it goes back to way back. You know what I'm saying? Since the beginning of human civilization, substances have been ingested on all levels. You know what I mean? From what we understand is that the what are known to be illegal drugs versus the illegal drugs, all of them started off from the earth. You see what I'm saying? So before these things got taken into the medicinal realm to the recreational qualities, whatever you want to look at it, hey man, it started off as an innocent little plant somewhere in some corner of the world from somebody had enough nerve to try it. I imagine some of the earlier drugs were ingested by pure accident. Had no idea that this is exactly what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Somebody bugged out on some roots and shrooms or whatever and found themselves on the ride of their lives and had no idea that was going on. You know what I'm saying? Bugged all the way out. But hey, drugs is the subject. You got any questions you want to ask me? Do not hesitate. Do not hesitate. Do not wait. But I can dive on into a bunch of different levels of drugs from the kind you smoke to the kind you eat to the kinds you get from the pharmacy to the kinds you get off the street. A drug is a drug. Some operate under the impression, that all drugs are bad, no matter what form they show up in. You know what I'm saying? Some people argue that all drugs are good. I'm sure that all drugs or form of substances or medicines or whatever it is, they certainly have their medicinal qualities. A lot of the drugs, for most of us, don't realize that the stuff that what we would consider illegal now at one point was perfectly legal and was used in your doctor's office or was over-counter medicines at some point. And I don't have to go into the obvious names. Some of us know the history of some of those used to be recreational drugs, literally used to be in our food. You know what I'm saying? There are popular beverages that literally had Class A narcotics in them at one point. And it wasn't that long ago before we realized that, people are getting hooked on this shit. You know what I'm saying? And hey, we're having a really good profit return on our product. You know what I'm saying? So again, the name of the show is Ask John Doe. Get it off your chest if you really want to know. You know what I'm saying? Again, the topic is drugs and whatever else come to mind. Make it worth our time. You know, one of the first things that show up to me when I hear drugs and I hear the way people bash in a sense, you know what I mean? I mean, of course, depending on who you're talking to, you're gonna get a different response. But I look at drugs at this point as something that is a lot of times not even physical substance. A lot of these drugs that we entertain aren't even smoked or ingested of any type. Look at the adrenaline junkie. I mean, most drugs often are associated with a burst or release of the dopamine that's in our brain that triggers the pleasure senses, and anything that ultimately activate that high level of pleasure can ultimately be the segue into abuse or drug use. You know what I'm saying? What about the adrenaline junkies, the person on the dirt bike that can't get enough of that high life? You know what I'm saying? Especially in the car club community, yeah, some of us we can't help but to go fast. You know what I mean? And it triggers that excitement that can honestly show up as being just as addictive as Class A narcotic if you can. You know what I mean? A drug is a drug. Peace pipe, crack pipe, it don't matter what you like. A drug is a drug. You know what I mean? And we have found so many different ways in common society to say, well, it's not illegal, so what's the problem? Well, in a lot of instances, things can show up to be problematic when we lost our grip on use and abuse. You know what I mean? Personally, from what I've seen, I've known functioning addicts that are literally a lot better people when they have whatever they have or get off of whatever they were on from the most abusive nature of the class A drugs to the most simple things that we can get from the grocery store. You know what I mean? There are people out here who are strung off on sodas that, hey, if they don't have that doggone dew or whatever it is, that caffeine laced coffee, if you can, coffee is easily a drug. What about that coworker that we had that said, well, I didn't have my coffee today, and they're a whole nother person. You trying to figure out who the hell are you? Yeah, get this person a cup so they could get in gear. Yeah, you're hooked on that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a cup of that stuff. You see, the drug is a drug is a drug, everybody. That's a lot of my underlying point. I don't want to begin with the end, but hey, let's get to the point. Drugs are drugs in many other forms. We have the serial daters out here who get that high of the flirtatious new phase of meeting new people, and when that high is gone, what do? They chase a thicker high. You know what I'm saying? Hey, come on now, let's keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Drugs are drugs are drugs. You know what I mean? Caffeine to chocolate. You see what I'm saying? We got, of course, alcohol. You know what I mean? The more common sense, well, at least what we would think is common sense levels of things that we ingest. And of course, the level that we ingest these things could easily be that gateway between use and abuse. You know what I mean? Some would say it's not what you do, it's how you do what you do. You know what I mean? A lot of people out here are hooked up on stuff and don't even realize, like, man, I'm addicted to shopping. Yeah, it felt good to get those new shoes. You know what I'm saying? But hey, every time you get a couple dollars in your hand, you run into the store and get a new pair of shoes when you barely wore the last one. Could be a very clear sign of an addiction of some type. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Are we hooked on swiping or what? You know what I mean? During COVID, or like during COVID, like it was a season of some type. You see what I mean? I mean, just literally every version of our reality that triggers that pleasure sense, the dopamines that get you going. And when you don't get that quick, instant fix, what happens? The side effects are obvious, my people. You very well may be hooked. You know what I mean? You very well may be hooked. So hey man, watch your intake or whatever that look like to make you great, or not for all I care, but responsibly. I gotta be for real with you that hey man, let's try not to kick the people who are on stuff that find themselves hooked off in a world that we may not have the ability to understand. So we could easily go into what makes people take on ingesting these outside substances, outside of the natural high. Some people argue I'm high on life. Life is my favorite drug. I wake up in the morning and excited. It gets me going. I could ride that all day. It very well could be considered a drug if that's what triggers those pleasure senses and leads you to want to come back for more. You know what I mean? Hey, a drug is a drug. A drug is a drug. You know? So, I mean, for real, I believe it's a level playing field at this point because that person who's hooked on coffee to me isn't no different than that person who's hooked on good old fashioned crack, if you can. You know what I mean? Because, hey, peace pipe, crack pipe. If it was eye for an eye, we all be blind when it comes to this place and time. Hey, drugs are drugs are drugs. Again, the name of the show is Ask Jon Doe. I really don't want to have to go on and on no more, but I sure will. If you got a question you want to ask, put it on the screen so we can do our thing. Use that number so we can get this thing going. You see what I'm saying? But hey, man, and I truly hope that for all of us out there that may be hooked on whatever it is or may have that urge to take on whatever it is that's moving you. You know, just manage your stuff as gracefully as you can, because of course, too much of anything is certainly a bad thing. Hell, too much water will kill you. Was just on the screen. Say, yeah, I was nervous, but I did actually help me connect deeper. You know, you have to be open. You have, what's that? Have you been addicted to any? No, I have been addicted to any what would be considered hard drugs. Honestly, don't think I'm addicted to much of anything, but I like what I like. Shoot, if anything, shoot, smoking, cigarette smoke is an awful drug. It's ugly, but shit, before you know it, I've been fired up before I even got a chance to put the last one out. You get my appetite going, you know what I mean? My nerves bad, and I found the perfect excuse to take it out on something, and that's certainly a sign of drug abuse. It's the escape. You know what I'm saying? It's a mood altering scenario. We all looking for something to bring us that sense of peace and comfort or closeness to something in a sense, if you can. Sometimes people take on these substances to bring us closer to our higher selves, but we find ourselves in the lowest places. Drugs are drugs, everybody. Let's be for real. Often when it comes to having a lack of support system or lifestyle choices, whatever that looks like, shoot, everywhere from tea to candy, you know what I mean? Sugar, certainly a drug. Hey, let's argue if we have to. Sugar is a drug. You got the sweet tooth acting up like, I want a piece of cake. I want whatever, anything that triggers that craving, that makes you want to come get that fix, that taste of whatever that is, very well could be a drug. Hey, you didn't have that piece of candy that you was craving. You go picking around the house trying to find something to satisfy that sweet tooth that's been acting up. Sound like a junkie to me. You know what I mean? Drugs are drugs are drugs. Hey, if you don't know the number, find it on the screen so you can call me and do our thing. I like the questions on the screen. Somebody help me out and read those questions on the screen for me. And maybe we got an answer for that. Cool. The phone number is 770-852-0569. Make it worth our time. The name of the show is Ask Jon Doe, and the topic is drugs. Sometimes we may just need a big old hug to fill that void. And some people, we may not have that hug we need. What we do, lean on to something else. You know what I mean? Certainly, I've learned on my journey, I can tell when my appetite may be changing for things that I ingest, through a form of stress. We find ourselves in a bad mood, we eat bad stuff. You know what I mean? We find ourselves in an interesting place. What do? We find something to chase, something to replace if we can. That very well is the nature of drugs. You see what I'm saying? It's a beautiful science, a really bittersweet reality, a really big flowers or edibles, both. How about it? That's a fair question. That's a fair fight. Two solid hits, no knockouts. Fair enough. Both. You know, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So sometimes when we come to however we want, whatever we want, when we want it, and we don't get what we want, those side effects are real. You know what I mean? Those cravings for our appetite, hey, if you don't have it, you want to find a friend. And even when it comes to the over the counter medicines that people look at as not being drugs, even though the pharmaceuticals will refer to them as drugs, literally, the drugstore, you know what I mean? A lot of the doctors are pretty much drug dealers and they know it. They're pushing medicines on people that they know have addictive qualities, strictly for financial gain, whether they realize it's helping or not. You know what I'm saying? It's a really, really real thing, So we have to be mindful. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's necessarily healthy or good for us. Even if it helps us, it doesn't mean that it's good for us. Let's be for real. Hey, it's a really touchy world and a really touchy subject. So here it is. That's why I'm making it a topic for us all, so we could take a reinforced look at it if we can. Have I ever had a bad experience? Sure. Sure, I've had a bad experience. Hell yeah, I've had a bad experience, especially when it comes to smoking weed. You mess around and get some weed, you all think about to roll up and it end up being pure trash. Yeah, that's a bad experience to me. Well, Why do you think it takes so long to legalize weed in Georgia? Wow. You know, beyond my personal opinion, you know, when it comes to the powers at be, if you can, you know, they haven't found a way that it directly benefits them in the now as of yet. When the monetary measures are put into place, of course, it can be understood in a lot of different lights. But we also are dealing with dated mindsets when it comes to nature's lettuce, if you can. You know what I'm saying? With some call it devil's lettuce, with that movie have Bitcoin now one if you can. Yeah, you know, I mean, yeah, when the money's right and everything's lined up, of course, we can find a reason to justify it if you can. That's the same reason why a lot of these over-the-counter medications that literally show up in our bodies to be more hurtful and harmful or just as than the street or recreational drugs that at one point used to be perfectly legal, but of course, without the monetary measures being in play and some of the side effects that certainly can be hurtful to watch and possibly experience. I haven't gone through anything along those lines myself because I don't entertain the would be considered hard drugs in that case. So hey, it's a really ugly road, man. It's a really ugly road. Even watching somebody that you care about not have their coffee for the day really makes you want to kick them out the damn light. What is this? What is this? Do you think Big Farm can go out of business? Weed becomes legal? Hmm. I think they will make every necessary adjustment to capitalize off the legal aspect of it. So out of business, hardly. No, no, no. They're really creative at making problems before they cure them. So I'm very well convinced that there's too much money on the table for them to go completely out of business. And I'm sure that they're preparing for this shift because it is alive. And a lot of doctors with their dated practices still look at weed as a drug if you can. You know what I'm saying? And of course, they know when it comes to the natural healing forces that are at hand that weed is number one. Marijuana, whatever you want to call it, is number one when it comes to that that quick fix, that quick calm, if you can. From the fibers that's being used from the plant. I mean, legalizing weed is going to be a huge shift. We are literally in the prohibition phase. Some of you have already heard that lingo before. What does that say for the states that have already legalized weed? I mean, more power to them. Cool. Honestly, I don't think it's going to make too much big of a difference on society in the way we function as a whole when we're disconnected and confused any damn way. So it really doesn't matter. When it's legal versus illegal, it's still going to be whatever it is. We have to control the market, whatever that looks like, whether it's legal or illegal. We got to take accountability for that, everybody. So, hey, if we want this stuff legal, by all means, make it as legal as you need to be. But other than that, the responsibility is ours. And that's just what it is. Drugs are drugs are drugs. Pipe, crack pipe. I don't see one as any better than the other. We all have this way of excusing ourselves in that sense when it comes to habits or things that give us pleasure. Sex, easily a drug. You know what I mean? People chase that pleasure. They don't care who they get it from in some instances. They just want that high, that feeling of intimacy or closeness or the false sense of it, whatever it is. As long as they get that, whatever it is that they were seeking from whoever it is that they were seeking it from, they could call it good, regardless of how dangerous of a choice that can be. I mean, let's be honest. Drugs are drugs are drugs. You know, I'm seeing questions show up, but I don't know how to answer. My take on synthetics. My takes on synthetics. My goodness. Synthetics are literally the first cousin of the pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are synthetics. And my take on that is, not seriously, have an honest my take on that is literally, I truly am convinced that they have proven on the grand scale to be just as, if not more harmful than the stuff that show up to be illegal or recreational. Simple point. A lot of these pharmaceutical drugs are based in chemicals. Literally, and anything your body you put in the form of a chemical, it is going to be rejected. The process that your body has to go through to break down these chemicals that are foreign in every way, the damage on your liver and you getting this stuff in your blood, yeah, it's another version of a cover up, a mask, a temporary fix to something that certainly can be addressed under more natural or organic conditions. You see what I'm saying? So if you're gonna trust your body with undergoing the stress of healing from whatever condition we're going through, would you rather do it under the most natural form or under the most synthetic form? That's a really sensitive choice. Being that I'm not a doctor and I'm not advising the person who's on those synthetics or whatever that they're on. You know what, John Doe, you're right. I'm kicking the bucket on all this stuff because, of course, there's a weaning process because the stuff certainly has an addictive nature to it, and anything that's been added to, and ripped away from the system, it's a dramatic approach, but that's literally the effect. That's what triggers the withdrawal and crash of all types. Same thing with shopping, same thing with coffee, same thing with anything caffeine based, sugar based, or anything that we've found the leverage to lean on to give us that fix, that quick high, whatever it is, take that edge off. Once we are creatures of habit, know that you and everybody else who's listening and whoever you had this conversation with, and my future viewers of all ages, whatever that looks like, you are a creature of habit, and your lifestyle is a direct reflection of the choices that you've made long ago up until now. People can easily fall into this trap and say, well, I do that all the time. I eat these all the time. Nothing's wrong with me. Okay, well, a lot of times we don't know how addicted we are until we stop. You see what I'm saying? You can think you're in control, but when have you stopped? When have you took on the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to grasp this with God's grace for conversation's sake, and I'm going to let nature run its course. And yeah, you're going to go through withdrawals. A lot of us are addicted to escaping reality. Part of the side effects of being in these quarantine conditions. So used to running from ourselves. Now we're left to sit still. Now it's getting real. Reality setting in. People are bugging out because they don't have that quick fix, that instant escape that we used to lean into. It's so subconscious and scary. Drugs. That's what I fix. You know what I'm saying? It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, we got to take care of ourselves in every respect because you don't know how hooked you are in any extreme until you stop. If it was a challenge being put on the table, I challenge us all to that. You think you got it under control, whatever your thing is that may show up in the form of a vice or that thing that you like so much, but you become so used to going about it in the way that you go about it. Say, can I stop it right now with no problems, no side effects? We'll see. And the rest to judge yourself. What's that on the screen? I have a real question. Nervous about it. Biden's speech yesterday. I don't know what Biden's speech was about. How do I feel about that? I'm worried now. America, what is that? I'm worried now. America is a bigger threat. It's a really, really loaded question. Biden's speech. I don't know what that was because who knows what kind of shit they're talking about. You know what I mean? And America being a threat. I mean, duh. You know what I'm saying? So that comes with the territory. So, hey, that's a whole political card that's being played right above us and under us, and true side effects will be known. Let's find out. You know what I mean? We will see. Because right now, I mean, a lot of us are hooked on TV. You know what I mean? We're hooked on this news, ingesting. We're taking this stuff in. We're taking this stuff in. Hide the remote from yourself. I bet you go looking for it like a junkie. Who's hooked now? You know what I mean? Speak for real. Drugs are drugs. Name of the show is Ask John Doe. Thank you for the questions so far. The numbers on the screen is 770-852-0569. Call me. Let's talk about this. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your outlooks on drugs and substances, or even the things that don't show up in the form of a substance. It doesn't have to be a leaf. It doesn't have to be a narcotic as it's been named. I mean, hey, we all got stake in this game because we're all addicted to something, whether it looks like it or not. Addiction is addiction. Some people can't go through life without that piece of cake or a piece of steak. whatever it is that they feel good about that they know just makes their life so great. If you think you got a grip on it, try to stop it. See what happens. You know what I'm saying? It's a real thing. Shout out to people who have to have that caffeine fix. Be careful who you go pointing your fingers at. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that crackhead or that person can't go without smoking weed because they're different. I tell you what, if you don't have that cup of coffee, I promise you, we don't know you either. You are no different. The level of telling you, the playing field is level. It is a real thing. We're all hooked on something. I know a person who will ride his bike till his damn leg will fall off. You know what I'm saying? Yes, this is drug of choice. You know what I mean? Just out here. What are anti-drugs, in my opinion, i.e., things that give you a natural high? I don't think they're anti-drugs. Those are drugs. Natural high. High is a high is a high. Like a drug is a drug is a drug. You know what I mean? If anything, an anti-drug would be something that doesn't give you a high, or that doesn't trigger those dopamines that give you that sense of pleasure, or that calming effect, or that excitement, or whatever the side effects are. People take on drugs for different reasons. People take on drugs because they want to get amped up. Some people take on drugs because they're trying to chill, and it's just real. Some will smoke it. Some people pop a pill. Drugs are drugs. People under stress. What do? They go to the refrigerator. That's literally like a junkie trying to get a fix. It's really no different. It's a real thing. So if anything, an anti-drug would be something that you would do just for the natural sake of wholeness and goodness, like drinking water. Water could very well be an anti-drug. you know, take a swig of that. It's good for you, and it doesn't get you high. Maybe it does. I don't know. Drink water fast enough, you might get a buzz. Somebody tried it. Certainly, that's exactly why I use the motorcycle rider and my bike rider friend, for example. Adrenaline is definitely a drug. It's a stimulant, it triggers dopamine. It chase, it creates a chase. We have the skydiving community, the mountain climbers, and all, we could go on and be creative. Some of you may remind me of some activities that could very much be triggered just like drugs. How many times have we heard stories about the athletes that pretty much go into depression when they leave the field, when they leave the game? It's something that happens to their brain. It's something in the way that we're wired when we separate ourselves from that thing that brought us the most pleasure. I'm the 10-time champion of whatever ping pong. Who cares, right? You put that paddle and that ball down, it's gonna have an effect on you. The withdrawals are the same. Very well can end up in a mental hospital, end up hooked on something else, trying to fill that void. Drugs are drugs. Stimulants are stimulants. Depressants are depressants. If I could develop your own drug, or if I could develop my own drug to save the world, what would it be? Any kind of addiction. What would it be? If I could develop a drug, it'd be almost an version of the Matrix. The red pill, blue pill. You want to keep sleeping under this lie, or you want to wake up and look reality in the eye? Literally. I give everybody the choice. You know what I'm saying? I give you the drug of choice. You can choose, or you can keep your head in the sand like an ostrich. Now, a lot of us are here. Thank you for my follow up fans, if you can. I mean, this whole experience is surreal to me. And I'm really thankful for the fans, the people who've been consistent and keeping up with me from the beginning to the end. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And there's so much more ground to cover. My goal is to cover these what could be considered taboo topics, and let's normalize this. Drug use and drug abuse of all types is actually a lot more normal than what we handle it. This crackhead cliche mentality we have to be honest with ourselves is bigger than that realm. I mean, we got to be for real. I mean, the nature of a junkie is much bigger than drugs. Peace pipe, crack pipe. Eye for an eye, we all be blind. Let's keep it real. Let's make it worth our time. Name of the show is Ask John Doe. Thank you for the good questions and feedback and the comments. Shout out to the chat box. It's jumping. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep a good thing bumping. And whatever you got to do to get your fix to keep you a functioning part of this mix, some people need to be on some shit. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Just manage your weight though. You know what I mean? If whatever that looks like, you can use whatever you got to use. Just don't let these drugs use you, whatever your flavor is. I certainly wouldn't encourage anybody to jump out there experimenting to try to test their might, to try to find something that they don't need to be taking on to see if they like it. But I've seen stories in real life functioning of like really powerful results when it come to people taking on holistic measures or the more naturally holistic measures when it comes to drug use. And I've seen people go through experiences where where they exercise to get off of what would be considered the class A drugs or the things like that. You know what I'm saying? That like literally mean that it's like trading drugs. That's it's a real thing. Her term addicted to bullshit. What day you? Can you ask that again? Yeah, because people pretty much is addicted to bullshit in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Some of us can't stay at the doggone club. That's what gets them high. A lot of us would consider that pure bullshit. Some people would argue that that's not a drug. Well, I don't know, man. Hey, once we look at the underlying essence of what addiction and getting high looks like, whatever it is that trigger that pleasure sense, it is very much a drug. You know what I mean? It's a drug. Drugs are drugs. Your map, yeah, it ain't where it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Hopefully you got a map in your heart. You know what I mean? So, let that map be symbolic of, hey, man, we are all connected. God, the damn door got me. Yeah. Hopefully let that be a symbol that we are all connected, what I mean, in prayers to the people who are undergoing the hurtful conditions of the world, abroad. I don't want to make that too much more the topic than what we're overwhelmed with from day to day, but what's happening over there, headed east. But yeah, it's tough stuff. And conditions like this make people want to escape. And I'm sure alcohol use and drug abuse is taking on a unique form. Relapsing is real. Somebody was chilling. And then here it is, all hell done broke loose in their backyard. Yeah, shit, man, might as well take a swig because you don't know if you're gonna die tomorrow or whatever that looks like. It's a real challenging space to be in, and my heart truly goes out to those who are facing that daily battle. Because we don't know what tomorrow may bring. Some would say that's the whole reason why they do their thing. It's my life, it's my body, it's my mind. I can do what I want to. No matter how high or low, I'm the one that determines how to go. Use what you want to use if that's what you got to do. But don't let this stuff use you. You know what I mean? Use you until you use you. Come on now. Drug use and drug abuse is never a fair science. You know what I mean? It's a thin line. It's moving all the time. And when it comes to earlier conversations from other episodes about support and holding ourselves accountable in that space, you know what I mean? Drug use and drug abuse is certainly directly involved in all aspects of all of our lives. Excuse me, while I learn how to talk and read at the same time, when can black people control the weed market legally, like we did illegally? Is it possible? Anything's possible, mister. Anything's possible. See, but there's a level of togetherness that has to be involved for, the black culture for conversation's sake to take control of anything. That comes with taking control of ourselves and recognizing that without each other, we are not ever going to be in control. Mentally, we can think we are. We all bosses and kings in our mind, but kings also are responsible for ruling and running a collective. I mean, so it's a it's a wavy line. You know what I mean? Control, hardly. You know, I'm not seeing that being the likely outcome of anything. You know what I mean? But hey, having our fair stake in the game, hey, Anything's possible though. True is true. It is what it is, and the rest will reveal itself. So, hey, whatever we c- control itself can very well be a drug. There are some people who actually get high off of that feeling of being in charge. We all work with that manager or the boss, if you can, that was on a total power trip. Like, who in the hell gave you this title? Went straight to their dome like a big old crack rock for conversation's sake, not to make a mockery of somebody who's hooked on whatever it is that they hooked on, but I'm using that lingo for a real reason. It's like you got to be on some shit to be dealing with people in this fashion. If you strip that title from you, would you be behaving in that way? Most likely, the answer would be no. They most likely would go through a level of detox. Hey, high as you go up there, the longer to fall down. You know what I mean? And that's when reality start moving around. You know, hey, we got to keep it solid, man. Everybody's hooked on something. Everybody's hooked on something. We got the health nuts out here, the health food junkies. You know what I mean? They're addicted to carrots and all kinds of crap. I gotta have it. Hey, cool. I'm not mad at you no more than I'm trying to point finger and exploit. But the truth is the truth. Hey, whatever you take to make you feel great is literally a drug, or whatever you do to make you feel good is a drug. You know what I mean? From the people from the spiritual community. Hey, we got meditate. From you want to meditate, soothing, calming, and that a lot of the reason why people take on drinking alcohol, smoking weed. It's a drug. It very well can fall under being a drug, but can we manage it? Certainly. What happens when we don't practice those things that we once practiced from those who are spiritually in tune? I used to meditate often, but now I stopped meditating and I've noticed my whole life was off track. It sounds like a person who started smoking crack. It is what it is. Peace pipe, crack pipe. Fair is fair. Feels eye for an eye. We all be blind. Drugs win every single time. I got a question on the screen. Let me see what this is. How can it how can it be good and bad at the same time? Wow. Same reason why a double-edged sword swings both ways. You know what I mean? Hey, it could cut you or it could set you free. Yeah, good and bad at the same time. Yeah, some drugs can make you feel so good you don't want to leave that place of that illusion of the bliss, or it actually could be real bliss, or whatever that looks like. That whatever the result of you getting your fix, to the degree it can separate you from your current reality. Yeah, now it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? It could be a good thing that we got over that invisible hump, that lump that had us stumped for that moment. But then, hey, when it come back to facing the music, are we able to regain our balance or keep our composure? Now, yeah, that's when drug use or drug abuse can certainly be a bad thing. Hey, if we gotta have our fix so bad that I'm gonna sell the couch or something like that, then yes, certainly it's bad. You know what I'm saying? They could be bad. Some people need to get rid of the couch. That can make it a good thing. Hell, go and sell that regular couch anyways. You needed a new one. Drug, chemical substance used in treatment, cure, prevention, diagnosis of disease, or used to otherwise enhance physical or mental well-being. That sounds like it's straight out of the dictionary, which, yeah, enhance. Enhancements aren't always in our favor. You know what I mean? So drugs. Look, hey, if you were in the dumps and you ate that piece of chocolate and that put a smile on your face and took your mind off of whatever was kicking your ass at that time, and you said, man, that was good, and you just totally took your mind off of that stuff that was weighing you down, I think drug did its job. What are my thoughts on sex being drug? A definite drug, a definite escape. You know what I'm saying? I actually made reference to that earlier in this conversation, being that witnessing with a bird's eye view, and even up close and personal, the serial daters, those who cannot be committed, if you can, to just one person, or those who spread themselves in with multiple partners for the sake of the pleasure of having sex, not to procreate. Remind you, the whole reason why the two forces come together is literally to reproduce, not for fun. Your body's not a playground. And anytime you participating in this sensitive realm, risking your whole entire life for pleasure, that level of risk is the same thing as being on a fix. It's the same thing. Drugs are drugs are drugs. Anything that give you that pleasure in that moment, when that high is gone, on to the next chase, on to the next buzz. Sex is definitely a drug. 100%. That pleasure we get from it. Ooh, that was fun. Yeah, that felt good. I've heard the same thing about that party where all the alcohol was involved. You know what I'm saying? People putting that white stuff in their face. Man, that was fun. Where's more? You know what I'm saying? Do it again. Get some new shit or something like that. Whatever the lingo you want to use to describe it, it's all the same. It's all the same. Hey, it is what it is. Peace pipe, crack pipe. Drugs are drugs. You know, being high on life is certainly one of my favorite fixes that I found for myself. You know what I mean? Just to be able to walk outside and take that deep breath. It's like, whew, wow, man, it actually feels a lot better than what I've given it the credit to be. You know what I'm saying? And it's really good high for me. OCD is one of my addictions. Would that OCD be the obsessive compulsive disorder, having that high you get from having things in order? Man, that's a thing too. You know what I'm saying? Because when stuff is all out of whack, it creates a sense of clutter. It's like, look, I'm not stopping until this shit is straight. I'm gonna line up the pictures on the wall and everything I got to do for y'all to get that calm. That calm makes me feel good. Triggers the dopamine. It's a drug. Hooked. Hooked on cleaning. I wipe the paint off the wall. If that's what it takes. And I'm not stopping until it's done. Hooked. From what I understand, we also have a deal of the day on the way. I'm excited to share that with you all. I'm anticipating that coming out sometime soon, but right now we letting drugs run the room, you know. So if you're out there and you're looking for that thing, it never hurts to start within us, my good people. Because all the high you need, you are powerful. You can create it within yourself on behalf of whatever it is that you touch because you are amazing. Just know that. You know what I'm saying? You, yourself, is a drug. You can bring that joy to somebody. You can bring that joy to yourself. Those dopamines are yours and you control them. And you don't need any outside help unless you so choose. That's your business. But just know that we are creatures of habit, and the things that we take on certainly have a way of taking on a life of its own. And we don't know how far we are to that zone until we no longer have access to that escape or that intake or whatever that looks like. We don't know how deep you got until you stop. And that's with anything, everything across the board. You don't know you're hooked until you quit. How many functioning alcoholics for some of us out there who may have that family member or even been in that spot? Shit, even myself. Like, I'm good. I got this. Well, how come you haven't stopped? Well, because I got it. Why would I have to stop? Because if you can stop, I mean, well, if you got it so well, that means you don't need it. The crutches are off. The training wheels are off. You don't need that added assistance to bring you joy. Why come you can't bring that joy to yourself? So just quit. It's never that easy, is it? So easy to pass the buck. It's real easy to play the blame. You know what I mean? Well, because I don't have to. I don't need to. My life's in order. I'm not compromising my finances and all the rest of that stuff, but you still are. You know what I mean? A lot of times stuff shows up as a waste. You know what I mean? Just think about how many beer cans I done had lined up in the damn garage, and that's like 2, 4, 6, 8. Man, I got $100 worth of beers. I could have did something totally different with it. You know what I mean? It adds up over time. It's just a real thing. Smoking, ugly, ugly, ugly habit. $5 a pack every day or two. We add up that math. we probably spend a small fortune on killing ourselves just to smoke. It's real. Drugs are drugs, legal, illegal, good or bad. Who's to say? You know what I'm saying? Well, you can say. You have that power, though. You have that voice to determine what's right and what's healthy or helpful for you, whatever that looks like. Because in the end, what is it all worth, anyways? You know what I mean? Your opinion on yourself and how you manage your life and your intake or whatever that looks like, or other people's. Now, for those who have that grip, hey, more power to you. I applaud that. And if you could do your thing without letting it drift off into somebody else's lane, then you very well may have found your drug of choice. You know, I found people on this journey to be hooked on all types of shit, and they're like awesome artists. You know what I mean? There are drugs out here who there are drugs out there that literally spark the creative. No inhalants around here. Air, but not on purpose. It's by habit. I'm a creature of habit. I breathe deeply. I inhale that oxygen. You know, yeah. But there are people out there who take on some stuff and they just go to painting away. You know what I mean? The sculptors. They see things in 3D. You know what I mean? It's like it's some really amazing stuff that sometimes you can kind of tell. You can look at some artwork and be like, damn, I wonder what they were on because that's some trippy shit. You know, mind altering, mood altering, enhancements, and things like that. It kind of things take you places. Netflix reference. I should make that a point to make a Netflix reference in every show. It's a documentary about out there about mushrooms. Really, really powerful documentary. Really insightful. I encourage you all to check that out. And it really puts you up on a reinforced perspective, if you can, on innocent mushroom. Man, highly underrated, underestimated, overlooked. From not just, of course, the getting high aspect or whatever that is, but for the medicinal properties and their function and purpose for the globe. You know what I'm saying? For like the whole force of our human evolution. Mushrooms was there, everybody. Check out that documentary. I can't think of it by name off the top of my brain, but damn, it was amazing. Drugs, man. What can I get high off of right now? I think I'm getting hooked on talking to you all, sharing this light. You know what I mean? Like, I get a buzz. I get a sense of pleasure from this. You know what I mean? I really do. I enjoy it. It's a
Oh yeah.
wonderful thing. It's a
So
wonderful
speaking of that,
thing.
let's pay some bills real quick. This episode of Ask John Doe is brought to you, as always, by BlackFridayAllTheTime.com.
All
And
the
we have a deal
time.
of the day that you can actually take advantage of and save. Deal of the day today
Yeah.
is a luxury cigar cutter set, 8 pieces, cigar puncher, ashtray, tube lighter, cigar stand, lighter accessory, cigar smoking gift with all of the fixings. So this is a very, very,
Wow.
very nice one, and you'll get an additional discount if you put in the code ACC22. That's your deal of the day. Normal price is $436. With that code, you'll get it at $299 at
So,
BlackFridayAllTheTime.com. We
yep.
appreciate y'all for sponsoring the show. Back to you, John. Hold on, John. We're having an issue. I'm not hearing you, and you're not muted. We're gonna pause for the calls so we can get situated. While we wait, check out BlackFridayAllTheTime.com, please. Black Friday all the time on Instagram, all that kind of jazz.
Are
Let's
we
try.
back?
There we go.
Are we back? Are we back? Man, shout out to the internet episode. Too much game coming through, y'all. So here it is, back on track. Black Friday all the time, man. You gonna save some dimes. Really nice puffing kit, man. If one of you love me so much, I'd like to have something like that in that collection. That gold accent is it's pretty fire. But saying that to say that, drugs. Man, my goodness. I mean, don't let this be the kind of conversations that just stop right here on the internet. You know, if you see somebody shaking like a junkie because they haven't had their caffeine and they think they're not hooked, yeah, bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's like I, I've literally come close to personally arguing with somebody. They're like, you really don't think you're hooked on that can of soda, do you? You know what I'm saying? Well, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, got a dude talking to himself. That's funny. Yeah, yeah. It's like, man, what do you got going on, man? Like, what do you think is happening? You know what I mean? Withdrawals show up in many forms. And a really, really common sign of a person going through any type of mood or mind altering change is attitude, sleeplessness, the way we communicate, can't function. You know what I'm saying? Drugs are drugs. It's like, man, don't we see that, man? It's all level playing field. Let's keep it real with ourselves and the way we manage our intake, outtake, whatever we got to make things great, y'all. You know what I mean? Most importantly, not being so judgmental and this dated way we look at excuse me this outdated way that we look at use versus abuse, what's good and what's bad. It's time we challenge these truths. Hey, if we find ourselves right back where we started, cool, but there's certainly a lot of room to take on a more broad perspective on things of this simplicity. Because again, using drugs or taking drugs, whether you get it from a doctor, or if you got it from a friend down the way, or whatever that looks like, hey man, it's all level ground. If you taking the measures to take care of yourself legally, illegally, you know what I'm saying? It's literally a lot less controversial than what is made to sound and seem, because all throughout history, people been doing the same thing. What make it so special all of a sudden now it's damn near 2022 and we got smoking weed so taboo is bull. You know what I mean? Let these people smoke because they're doing it anyways. That's the crazy part about it. You know what I mean? There's too much money on the table. Of course, that's why it's not as legal as fast as some would like to see it. You know what I mean? Of course, alcohol went through the same thing. Do your research. You know what I mean? People were drinking anyways. It wasn't like it was across the board where all 50 states said, okay, let's just start pouring up again. No, no, no. There are religious communities that fought it to the floor. And they say, well, it didn't come from God or whatever that is, so it's wrong or it's bad. You shouldn't put this stuff in your body, but it came from the earth. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I just call it like I see it. It's all a thing. Drugs are drugs. Hey man, get your fix. Hey, fight your kicks. Whatever you got to do, just get hooked on something, and it's you. Bars. For real. Love yourself, y'all. Love yourself. For real. Get hooked on something, man. Let's try loving each other for a change. Let's get hooked on that. I could use a double dose of that. You know what
I
I
heard
mean?
that.
For real. Yeah, man. I want to get high off this love, y'all. High off this peace. Straight up. Looking out for each other. Taking care of each other for real. You know what I mean? There's a lot of underhandedness and double backing, backstabbing, crossing, and whatnot happening out here. You know what I mean? Hook me up with some of this love, man. Let's get high off that.
That's what's up. So without further
Yeah, yeah.
ado, we gonna get out of
Yep.
here. Make sure you check us out every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. For Ask John Doe. Every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Atlanta Carcast, and every Monday, Last Take, a shot in the dark, only here at Atlanta Cast Network. We're gonna play some music and we're gonna shout out some folks, and we're gonna see y'all next
A growing
week.
community effort to try and stop the violence in the city of
Before we
Benton
go,
Harbor. Some
go ahead.
200
Hold
people
on.
came together.
I'm gonna answer this question. We still got a couple moments. I want to answer this. I want them to respond to this. Everyone that got locked up for marijuana crimes should be freed immediately if that's all they were charged for. I cannot agree more. You know what I mean? It's beyond my personal opinion. You damn right. Let my people go for some stupid ass weed. No matter how much, no matter how little, you know what I'm saying? We got to let that go. Of course, the criminal justice system, you know, it's thicker than the substance. It's about the paper. You know what I'm saying? That's real life for y'all. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like it. Put myself back on air. I ain't stopping. You got to unplug me because I'm high. Okay? I love this, y'all. Peace and love, everybody. As Jon Doe, thank y'all for the participants, the questions. Wonderful. You know what I mean? Good communication. Chat box jumping. You know what I'm saying? And tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. We getting it in. You know what I mean?
Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Yeah. Hit the like, subscribe, share to make all things fair. And of course, we done covered a lot of ground to get from here to there, from doggone gangs to politics, you know what I'm saying, prostitution, to about to touch pollution. And it is a lot of stuff to touch. You man, believe me, I barely got started. I'm being nice with this game for real. I'm being too nice. I'm turning up the volume one bit at a time. You know, too much of this game could overwhelm somebody's brain. But that's not even my problem. That's part of this weak ass society's fault that I'm not about to fall into. So that's why we got the show as Jon Doe. Put me up on something too, y'all. If you got a question you want to ask me about this episode, save it for me. Holler at me next week. Put it in the chat or whatever that is. Whatever we do, let's come back and finish this conversation. We got the whole world to catch up, y'all. Peace.
Boom.
Later.
People came together to voice their outrage over all the recent shootings and try to get young people to put down their weapons. Weapons.
Let go. Hey, this that 90-day run, my nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Michelle L.
You always talk been hard, but they thought you never leave.
Soldier Girl.
You put your heart and soul off.
Woo like Ric Flair.
In these streets, and they didn't appreciate you. Lord have mercy. Yeah.
Street affiliates always in the building.
They didn't appreciate you.
Michelle L. We appreciate you.
Yeah. You fall, you get back up with what you got up your sleeve. They thought your run was over. So what that means is they didn't appreciate you. Man, this shit
we appreciate all y'all. We appreciate all y'all.
They didn't appreciate you. I show love when I ain't had to, but that's just me. How you loyal to some niggas that you met through me? Ain't no C, but they met through B. And even through the drought, B left you deep. Good nigga, these days, that's just how shit be. How you ignore the fact that I let you eat. I was up extra early, I just left you sleep. For real, your mama lucky, I'ma let you breathe. I just kill him with success, I just let you grieve. I was willing every way, I just let you cheat. Had your back in your front, I just let you lead. See, just like I let you come, I'ma let you leave. Bit the hand that feeds you, nigga, that's just greed. Stab me in the backside and just let me bleed. Might have took the plants, but I left you seeds. My alter ego always telling me to let you be. That was a whole other side of me I let you see. I show love when I ain't had to, but that's just me. Before I came in the picture, niggas ate with their hands. How you ride with a nigga, turn state on your man. How you side with a nigga, infiltrated the brand. Too impatient, but I never demonstrated the plan. So your soul and your belly generated a grand when I'm the only nigga really ever gave you a chance. How you back already? How you get time off? Now you niggas need a hand when you bit mine off. Now you niggas need a hand cause you bit mine off. I got the game from House, Amp, Newton, Big Brian Doss. Listen. You always talk been hard, but